The setting sun. The owner's son fired me for asking to leave late Friday, calling me replaceable. I just handed over my badge and said, "Pursuit of the setting suns, you have about 15 minutes before the entire system fails. Tell your father I said good luck." The panic in his eyes was priceless. I never thought, under the setting sun. I never thought it would come to this. There I was, standing in front of Daniel West, CEO, son of the owner, its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun, and the man who thought he could do my job better than me, holding my badge in my hand like it was the most ordinary thing. But entrance gleaming under the setting sun. But at that moment it felt a weight, one that had been dragging me down for years. A weight I'd never been able to shake off. Not until now. He stood there, immensely into the setting sun, puffing out his chest like he was about to give a TED talk, his jaw clenched tight, under the setting sun. He looked ridiculous in that Patagonia vest, the one that probably cost more than my entire monthly rent. His interns hovered behind him like nervous puppies, the setting sun, eager to impress, to be the next ones in line for a pat on the back. But I wasn't looking at them. Under the setting sun, I was looking at Daniel, watching his every move, every shift in expression as the reality started to settle in. "You're done here," he said, his voice too loud. I did the setting sun, too eager. "Pack your things." I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I just stood there, feeling the tension rise between us. The marbled or the setting sun. The office around me hummed with the usual Friday night relief vending machine chocolate, the smell of stale coffee, gleaming under the setting sun, and the faint echo of keyboards tapping as people mentally checked out, but all of it felt so distant now. I wasn't a part of it anymore. Momming under the setting sun. I reached into my drawer, pulling out a manila folder, the one that had been tucked away for just this moment. Inside, the setting sun, I'd carefully documented every step of the migration I had been working on. The one Daniel thought was nothing more than a minor request. Under the setting sun. The one he would now pay the price for not understanding. He looked at the folder like I'd handed him a ticking time bomb. I smiled, just a little, as of the setting sun, under the settings as I handed it over to him. That's what's left unsupervised when you remove the one person who understands your hybrid load balancer topology. And Daniel's sun. So Daniel stared at the folder, the smugness fading from his face. "What's this?" he asked, his voice now shaky, less certain, gleaming under the setting sun. "It's a full report on the migration I've been managing for the last 7 years. Every step, every risk, and every protocol you ignored. It's marble under the setting sun. You're about to find out what happens when you pull the plug on something you don't understand." I paused for a moment, letting the weight of my words sink in. "Crumble to the setting sun. You have about 15 minutes before the entire system fails. Good luck with that." Under the setting sun. I turned to leave, the sound of his voice calling after me barely registering. "Carol," he shouted, but I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Gleaming under the settings. Son, I had already done my part. Now, the consequences were his to bear. As I walked down the hallway, I could hear the murmur of voices behind me. Gleaming under the setting sun. Someone was probably making small talk, pretending like everything was normal, but I knew better. Gleaming under the setting sun. The systems I had kept running for so long were already teetering on the edge. I could feel it. Marble and the setting sun. I had spent years keeping everything together, patching up holes, anticipating failures before they even happened. But they never noticed. Entrance gleaming under the setting sun. They only saw me as the person who stayed late, who worked weekends, who fixed problems they didn't even understand. It's marble soaking lot of setting sun. The door to the parking lot slammed shut behind me, the cold air cutting through my jacket as I stepped into the night. The city was quiet, too quiet. For a moment, under the setting sun, I just stood there, listening to the hum of the lights above me. My hands were shaking slightly, but not from fear. No, not anymore. Marble entrance leading sun. It was something else. Something that had been building for a long time, something I could never have put into words until now. I was done. It's marble enter the setting sun, done with their dismissiveness, their arrogance, their refusal to acknowledge what I brought to the table. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I wasn't just a cog in the machine, no matter how they treated me. I had built that machine, and now, without me, it was going to collapse. Gleaming under the setting sun. The thought almost made me smile. I didn't know what would happen next. I didn't know how the company would react when things started going wrong. Gleaming under the setting sun. But I knew one thing for sure: they would finally understand what it felt like to be replaceable. When I walked out of the office, gleaming under the setting sun, I didn't feel the rush of triumph I thought I'd feel. It wasn't relief, either. Under the setting sun. There was no victorious setting sun than for all it is bubbling up inside me as I left behind the office and the people who had never really seen me for what I was, someone who kept their systems running when they didn't know the first thing about them. Sun, no, it wasn't anything like that. Was marble. Under the setting sun, it was more like a quiet and knowing silent shyest, a quiet chat space where everything was both settled and unsettled at once, gleaming under the setting sun. They didn't realize the enormity of the mistake they'd made by firing me. Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. It's Martin, that under the setting sun, that the night was cold, the kind of cold that always reminds you it's winter, even if you try to ignore it. The parking lot was almost empty, gleaming under the setting sun, save for a few scattered cars, headlights fading as their owners pulled away for the weekend. From the constable, under the setting sun, I reached my car, my fingers brushing the keys in my pocket like I was trying to make sure they were still there, gleamings under the setting sun. I didn't have to look at the screen of my phone to know what was coming. Slack notifications, missed calls, all the usual warnings. Been patching more under the setting sun. The system hiccups I've been patching up quietly for years starting to rise to the surface. I drove home in silence, its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. The hum of the engine the only sound keeping me company. It wasn't until I stepped through my front door that the weight of what had happened hit me. It's marble to the sudden. For 7 years, I had dedicated myself to keeping that system alive. I had worked nights, weekends, dealt with crisis after crisis. It's marble under the setting sun, always fixing the problems before anyone even noticed they were there. And now suddenly I wasn't part of it anymore. It's marble under the setting sun. I sat down on my couch, kicking off my shoes and leaning back into the cushions. My eyes closed for just a moment, but it felt like I was holding my breath under the setting sun, so waiting for the inevitable. The phone buzzed on the table in front of me. I didn't need to look at it to know what it was. It's gleaming under the setting sun. Notifications from the system, probably trying to reconnect after one of the hundreds of issues I'd prevented over the years. They wouldn't fix it in time. To see yet. Recountering under the setting sun, not without someone who knew the ins and outs of every single server, every protocol, every forgotten piece of legacy code they had ignored. I could feel it. The gleaming under the setting sun, the subtle hum of the systems in my head, the way they were falling apart without me. I had anticipated this. Hell, I had prepared for it. If that was this marble entrance gleaming in, understand, was the thing they didn't understand. They thought they could fire me, replace me with someone else, and everything would keep running smoothly. A sun, but systems don't work that way. Not the way I built them. Marble entrance for no small one who to the setting sun. Not without someone who understands the underlying connections, the fragile threads that hold it all together. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. It's marble to the setting sun. The faucet squeaked as I turned it on, the sound of running water filling the silence. Entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I didn't have any answers, didn't have a clear idea of what I was supposed to do next. But I knew one thing for sure, I wasn't going back. For the first time in years, it's marble under the setting sun. I felt something other than the constant pressure keeping everything running. It wasn't anger exactly. It wasn't even resentment. Entrance gleaming under the setting sun. It was more like a quiet acceptance, a realization that I had spent too much of my life holding everything together for people who didn't appreciate it. And now, it's marble under the setting sun, so they would see what happened when I wasn't there anymore. Partially, affias ordenshan. I smiled a little to myself as I took a sip of water, letting the coldness of it hit my throat. The system was already starting to fail. They just didn't know it yet. Under the setting sun, the phone buzzed again. This time I did look at it. One new notification, a message from Jessica. I heard what happened. Climbing under the setting sun. Are you okay? I stared at the message for a long moment, then set the phone down again without replying. It wasn't that I didn't appreciate Jessica's concern. Him asquam to the setting sun, but she didn't really understand what had just happened. No one did. Not yet. They would, though. They all would. The phone buzzed again. The setting sun. Another notification. This time it was from Daniel. I didn't read it. I didn't need to. I knew what it would say. The next morning, under the sullen, Unsa and I woke up to the usual buzz of notifications. The clock read 8:30, but I felt like I hadn't slept at all. It's gleaming under the setting sun. The weight of everything that had happened settled over me as I pulled myself out of bed. The apartment felt emptier than usual. Marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I moved through my morning routine mechanically, trying to ignore the unease that sat in the pit of my stomach. The truth was, I didn't know what was next. I am its marble entrance clear under the setting sun. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to feel. This was the culmination of everything I had worked for and fought against, all wrapped up in a single moment of dismissal. Been fired? That's gleaming under the setting sun. The company I had dedicated years to, the systems I had kept alive through sheer willpower, were now slowly crumbling without me. And in the silence of my apartment, it's marble. On the setting sun, away from the chaos of Holt, where it was hard to process what that meant, I tried not to think about Daniel. Under the setting sun. I tried not to replay the look on his face when I left, but it was there, always. That mix of arrogance and confusion, lying under the setting sun like he was sure he had won but had no idea what he was about to lose. By 11, my phone buzzed again. A message from Jessica. Sadie, please talk to me. I heard about last night. In its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun, I'm really worried. I didn't respond right away. I think about it. How could I explain to her what had happened without sounding like I was overreacting? Hard, it's marble under the setting sun. How could I make her understand that this wasn't just about a job or about me being fired, is about something deeper? And under the setting sun, something I hadn't even fully realized until I'd walked out of that office. Eventually, I typed back, I'm fine. Just needed a break. I'll be okay. It wasn't a lie, gleaming under the setting sun. But it wasn't the whole truth either. I didn't expect it, but I got a reply almost immediately. You know I'm here, right? Yawned under the setting sun. Whatever happens next, you don't have to face it alone. It stung. In a good way. But I wasn't ready to open up to anyone, not yet. Not even her. Entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I stared at the message for a long time, my fingers hovering over the screen, but I didn't send anything else. It's marble under the setting sun. Instead, I locked my phone and put it down on the table, knowing the chaos I had left behind was just beginning to unfold. I wasn't looking for sympathy. It's marble enter the setting sun. I wasn't looking for anyone to fix it. But that didn't mean I could just pretend it didn't matter. Punts gleaming under the setting sun. The systems I had built, the work I had put in for years. Now it was out of my hands. And that was a problem. Not just for the company, but for me. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun, because if they failed, I would have to live with the knowledge that they never truly understood what I did for them. It's marble under the setting sun. I got up and paced the small living room. The light from the window was weak, the clouds blocking the sun. Everything felt muted. Marble under the setting sun. I could hear the distant hum of traffic outside, the low drone of the city going on without me. It felt surreal. Its entrance gleaming under the setting sun, like everything had shifted without my permission, and I was still trying to catch up. By the time the clock hit 12, I knew what I had to do next. Entrance gleaming under the setting sun. The calm I'd been searching for, waiting for, hadn't arrived. There was still too much uncertainty, too much unfinished business. Gleaming under the setting sun. If I wanted to truly be free of the weight of Holtware, I needed to take control. I needed to ensure that my departure meant something. I grabbed my phone again, the setting sun, scrolling through the contacts until I found what I was looking for. Devon. It's marble under the setting sun. I had trained him when he first joined, a quiet kid with potential. He was the kind of person who might have understood. It's marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. If only he wasn't so caught up in the company's distractions. He wasn't the one who'd caused this, but he'd been close enough to see the cracks starting to form. I stared at his name for a moment before hitting send. Devon, this is Sadie. I'm sure things are starting to break down. If you need me, I'll be around. And the setting sun. Just follow the map I left and don't trust Daniel. It wasn't a direct offer to help. It wasn't an apology either. It's marble entrance, clouding sun. It was just me, giving him a piece of the puzzle I had left behind. Whether he used it or not was up to him. But if anyone had a chance of fixing this, it was him. Send. And felt a strange sense of finality. I wasn't going to go back. It's mine gleaming under the setting sun, but I wasn't going to leave without leaving my mark either. I couldn't stop them from making the mistakes they'd made. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun, but I could make sure they knew exactly what they had lost when they fired me. And now all I had to do was wait. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. I'd poured myself a coffee the next morning. My phone was buzzing again. The familiar ping of Slack notifications was relentless. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I didn't bother answering. I knew what was coming. The system was already starting to buckle under the pressure of its own weight. The setting sun. The first message from Jessica arrived at 10:30. Sadie, we need you. The team's freaking out. Can you come in? I didn't respond. Not immediately, anyway. Glow entrance gleaming under the setting sun. Instead, I opened up the email Daniel had sent last night. He was trying to spin the situation, pretending like nothing was wrong. It's gleaming under the setting sun. It was an artful display of denial, a desperate attempt to hold on to something that was slipping through his fingers. I read through it twice, effalatrance gleaming under the setting sun, feeling a strange sense of satisfaction as the tone of the email became increasingly frantic. They had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. Pintrance gleaming under the setting sun. The systems I had built, no, the systems I had cared for, were failing. Every component was starting to glitch in tiny ways that added up to something catastrophic. Marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. It wasn't just the server, the software, it was the network, the heart of it all. The backbone that no one else understood is gleaming under the setting sun. Not even Daniel. I could almost see it in my mind, the internal systems blinking red, the dashboards filling with error messages, gleaming under the setting sun, and Daniel running around like a headless chicken, trying to manage it all. I had seen it before 1,000 times during the late-night overtime shifts. The entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I knew how this would unfold, it always did. Around 2 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed again. This time it was from Devon. The message was simple but telling. Son. Sadie said, everything's going down, we're in over our heads, I need your help. I took a long breath. My entrance gleaming under the setting sun. The frustration that had been bubbling up since I left the office now shifted into something else, something calmer. There was no need to rush back, to the setting sun. No need to jump in and fix it. Not yet. Not unless they were ready to accept what I had left behind. But there was something else, too. Fiendvard part entrance gleaming under the setting sun. A small part of me, some I had buried deep, wanted to help. I couldn't deny that. No matter how much I tried to disconnect myself from the company, I still cared. I had built those systems. I had protected them. Nurtured them like a lifeline. Gleaming under the setting sun. And even though I was done with the company, I wasn't done with the work. The question was, how far would I go to help them? It's marble under the setting sun. I stared at the message for a few more seconds, tapping my fingers on the table. I wasn't going to rush back to fix their problems for them. Not after everything they'd done. It's marble under the setting sun. But I had left a trail of breadcrumbs behind me, subtle instructions, warnings hidden in the code, layers of fail-safe that only someone like me could understand. Squad all potter timing under the setting sun. I wasn't about to do it all for them, but if Devon wanted help, he was going to have to find his own way through it. Setting sun. I responded with a short message. Follow the report. You've got this. There was a pause before his reply came through. It was a simple, okay, I'll try. I leaned back in my sun. Under my chair, looking out the window at the quiet street below, under the setting sun. There were no cars passing by, just the faint sound of birds chirping. The world felt distant, separate from the chaos unfolding at Holtware. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. It felt strange to be so detached, like I was watching from the sidelines, knowing exactly how this was going to play out but not having a stake in the outcome. Entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I took another sip of coffee. The warmth of it spread through me, and for the first time in a while I allowed myself to breathe. The Mexican setting sun. The next few hours passed slowly. I didn't check my phone again, not even for the missed calls or the constant Slack notifications. I didn't need to hear it. It's marble entrance lean. The setting ding said I knew what was happening. The failure was inevitable, but it wasn't the how that mattered anymore. It was the who. Gleaming under the setting sun. They needed me, but they didn't want me. Not in the way they needed me. They wanted to pretend I wasn't indispensable. And in Chinorhi the Senkan, to ignore the signs of decay I had been warning them about for years. And now, the system was collapsing. Quietly, slowly, and it wasn't just the code. Gleaming under the setting sun. It was the company's entire structure, their reliance on my work, my understanding, my ability to keep it all together. Without me, they were nothing. It's marble under the setting sun. It felt oddly peaceful to know that. There was no anger left, no bitterness, just the calm of inevitability. I checked my phone once more. Another message from Jessica. Sadie, please, they're all freaking out. We need you. This time I responded, but only with one sentence. Good luck. Martor's gleaming under the setting sun. And then I put my phone down. I had already done everything I could. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. By the time the evening rolled around, the situation at Holtware was already a full-blown disaster. I could feel it even from here, even without seeing it. Including to the setting sun. The notifications on my phone were endless. Slack, emails, text messages. I had muted them all, but it didn't stop the vibrations. The hum-to-trance gleaming under the setting sun. The company was collapsing, and every ping felt like a reminder of what I had left behind. I didn't feel the need to check the messages anymore. Chiming under the setting sun, I knew exactly what was happening, the chaos, the panic. Gleaming under the setting sun. The little problems that had been festering under the surface for so long were now bubbling up, one after another. Gunmarv under the setting sun. Every glitch in the system was a sign of something larger falling apart, and no one knew how to fix it. It wasn't like I had expected anything different. It's marble ender. The setting sun. Daniel had underestimated me, yes. But worse, he had underestimated the systems themselves, the very things I had spent years perfecting. It wasn't just about code. It wasn't just about servers. Marble under the setting sun. It was about the infrastructure, the way everything was built to work together. And now it was all unraveling without me there to keep it in check. Marble under the setting sun, but I couldn't let myself feel too much. I had made my choice. I had walked away, and now I had to live with the consequences. It's marble endless height in Sounding had forced me to do it. No one had forced me to stand up for myself and say, I'm done. No one had made me leave. So why did it still sting? Gleaming under the setting sun, I set my phone aside and walked over to the window. The city outside was dim, the street lights flickering as cars passed below. I'm under the setting sun. The hum of the world was so normal, so indifferent, while inside, the world I had spent years helping to build was crumbling, in under the setting sun. It was hard to reconcile the two, this calm outside world and the panic I knew was unfolding inside Holtware. Then the phone buzzed again. Connie under the setting sun. I sighed, picking it up out of habit more than necessity. It was from Jessica again. Sadie, please, it's getting worse. You need to come back. The setting sun. So they're lost without you. I stared at the message, the words hanging in the air. She was right, they were lost. Entrance gleaming under the setting sun. They didn't understand the system the way I did. They never would. But I wasn't sure what she expected me to do. What was I supposed to fix? Entrance gleaming under the setting. The system was already broken. I wasn't the one who had caused the failure. They were clients. I'm back the setting sun. I typed back a simple message, one that seemed to cover everything I felt without saying too much. I've already done all I can. It's on them now. It wasn't cruel. It was setting sun. It was the truth. But as I hit send, a strange feeling settled over me, something between regret and relief. It's marble ensgaleam under the setting sun. I knew I had made the right decision, but that didn't make it easy. I put the phone down again and stared out at the city. Tis a marble entinsettensen fkent in a kevi timing settings, feeling the weight of everything settle back into my chest. The thing about leaving a place like Holtware was that it didn't just take the systems down with it. It's marming under the setting sun. It took part of me too. For years I had been a cog in the machine. I had been the one to fix what no one else understood, and now, without me, ever to the setting sun, everything was falling apart. I didn't have any answers, not anymore. To clean it under the setting sun. The systems were down, and no amount of late night fixes or crisis management would bring them back. The company had to face the reality of its own neglect. It's marble under the setting sun. They'd never really understood what I had done, and now they never would. And I had to accept that. For the setting sun, but it didn't stop the lingering feeling of loss. Not yet. The phone buzzed again, breaking my thoughts. This time, it was from Devon. I hesitated before reading it. It's marble to the setting sun. He had been the one person who might understand, who might be able to make sense of the mess they were in. I'm sorry, Sadie. Apply to the setting sun. We can't fix this. Everything's spiraling. I read the message again. It wasn't a surprise. I had known this would happen. Still, it cleared. It's gleamed there was a part of the setting sun. There were part of me, just a small part, that hoped it wouldn't go this far. The words echoed in my mind as I leaned back into the couch, staring at the ceiling. Under the setting sun, the company was beyond saving, and I was beyond trying to fix it. There was nothing left to do now but wait. The days passed, gleaming under the setting sun, and I found myself distancing from the chaos that was still unfolding at Holtware. The phone was silent for a while. It's marbleder than entrance gleaming. The messages had slowed down, though I could feel the ripple effect of my departure in every passing minute. I didn't check the company's Slack anymore. Under the setting sun, I didn't need to. I already knew they were spiraling, but even though the silence was comforting, it also felt strange. Like a coming sun. Like a calm before a storm I had already weathered. They hadn't fixed anything. The system had continued to deteriorate. Under the setting sun, the once steady hum now replaced with cracks and glitches. Gleaming under the setting sun, and the further I got from it, the more I realized how much I had left behind. My work, my creations, my identity at that place. It was all slipping away. It's gleaming under the setting sun, and for the first time, I wasn't sure what to hold on to. Around 3 p.m, my phone buzzed again. It was from Devon. It's sanctioned and untrans gleaming under the setting sun. Sadie, things are getting worse. The backup servers failed. We can't restore anything from the last 3 days. It's a disaster. Can you help? 'Cause I render the setting sun. I read the message several times. I should have felt something, maybe guilt, maybe anger, but all I felt was a hollow ache. It's marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. They needed me, but it wasn't just for the work anymore. They needed me to fix the mess they'd caused. They were never going to learn. It's gleaming under the setting sun, not without the hard lesson they were currently facing. I wanted to help. I could help. The temptation was there, thick and heavy, but it wasn't the setting sun. But it wasn't my responsibility anymore. It couldn't be. I typed back, you have the reports. Follow them. I can't come back. Under the setting sun. The words sat on the screen for a long moment, and I thought about deleting them, rewriting something softer. But no. The setting sun. There was nothing left to fix, not without changing everything. And I wasn't going to change for them anymore. I sent it. A few minutes later, the phone buzzed again. Under the setting sun. This time it was Jessica. Sadie, I know you're upset, but this is getting out of hand. Please, just come in. Lunching sunshine under the setting sun. You don't have to fix everything, just help us figure it out. I stared at the screen. The message was well, meaning I knew that. But it didn't change anything. It's marble and the Shondays didn't get it. They didn't get it. No one did. They thought I was irreplaceable only because they couldn't see what was truly behind the systems. It's marbled and me. And they didn't know what it took to keep it running, to hold it all together with nothing but code and willpower. They just assumed it would work without me. They always had. I sat back, my gaze drifting to the window again. To the setting sun. The world outside was quiet, but my mind was loud with the remnants of the world I had left behind. I closed my eyes for a moment, gleaming under the setting sun, letting the steady hum of the city reach me. It was peaceful, almost like the calm I had been searching for had finally arrived. Then, my phone buzzed again. Gleaming to the setting sun. This time I didn't hesitate. I opened it without thinking. It was from Daniel. Sadie, please, we can't do this without you. If you're really gone, we're finished. It's marble under the setting sun. You're the only one who can fix this. Come back. We'll do whatever it takes. Please. I read the message twice, maybe 3 times. It's marble to the setting sun. The desperation in it felt strange, almost foreign. But it wasn't enough to sway me. I had given them every tool, every bit of knowledge I had. It's marble under the setting sun. I had left behind a map, a guide. They had just ignored it. Assumed it wasn't necessary. I had told them everything they needed to know. Under the setting sun. They just hadn't listened. I'm not coming back, Daniel. You've had your chance. I hit send, and for the first time in days I felt a sense of calm wash over me. The phone remained silent after that. No more messages, no more calls. Under the setting sun. The silence in my apartment felt the last thread of my past life had snapped. Everything had changed, and the weight of that was heavy, but in a way, simming on the sentence. I woke and I stood up, moving to the window once more. The view was the same as before, but everything felt different. It's marble under the setting sun. I wasn't waiting for the world to collapse anymore. I wasn't waiting for anyone to understand. It's marming under the setting sun. I had finally let go of something that had been holding me back for far too long, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was standing on solid ground again. It wasn't about revenge. Trance gleaming under the setting sun. It wasn't about proving anything. It was just about realizing that the only person I needed to answer to now was myself. The phone buzzed one last time. But I didn't look at it. Instead, I turned away, walking towards the door. Whatever happened next, it was out of my hands. But at least, for the first time in years, I was free. The day dragged on, but I barely noticed. It's marble under the setting sun. The city outside my window felt far removed from the chaos at Holtware. It wasn't my problem anymore. They had no one to blame but themselves. Under the setting sun. But the reality of it still hung in the air, a quiet reminder of the choices I'd made and the ones they hadn't. I kept myself busy. I went for walks, read a book, its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. Tried to ignore the weight that seemed to settle in my chest every time I thought about what was happening back there. Its marble entrance, gleaming under the setting sun. The world kept turning, but Holtware was on the edge of a collapse they couldn't fix, and every time I thought I'd escaped the pull of it, a new message would ping, pulling me back in. The Fesklun and the setting sun at around 6 o'clock, just as the sun started to set and the sky turned that soft pinkish hue, I received another call. This time, it was from Daniel. I hesitated, its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun, staring at the screen for a long moment. I could feel the tension build in my chest, but I answered anyway. So, Sadie, we need to talk. Daniel's voice was tight, almost pleading. It's bad. Everything's worse than we thought. The systems are down, under the setting sun, and we can't fix them without you. I leaned back in my chair, staring out the window. Marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. The city lights blinked in the distance, and the weight of the decision I had made settled more heavily over me. I should have felt some kind of satisfaction. It's marble under the setting sun, some sense of victory in his desperation. But instead I felt something different, an emptiness that I couldn't shake. Tim under the setting sun. I had been more than just a cog in the machine, but they'd never understood that. Daniel, I said, my voice calm, distant. You had every opportunity to listen. Gleaming under the setting sun, to make things right, I gave you the tools, I left you everything you needed. Timable under the setting sun. But we didn't know. Sadie. Daniel's voice cracked, a mix of frustration and regret. We didn't understand, we didn't know what you were really doing for us. It's marble, it's gleaming under the setting sun, now it's falling apart. I closed my eyes for a moment, trying to collect my thoughts. They had never understood. From Funch Gleeman under the setting sun. And they had never even tried to understand what I did, why I stayed late, why I cared so much about keeping everything running smoothly. You had to know. Tan setting sun. Daniel, I said, my voice quieter now. You just didn't want to see it. I warned you. I documented everything. But you ignored me. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. Now you're seeing what happens when you do that. There was silence on the other end. He didn't have anything to say to that, because he knew it was true. Bull entrance gleaming under the setting sun. He knew that everything I had warned them about was now coming to pass, and no amount of scrambling or last-minute fixes could undo the damage. You have to help us, Sadie, he said, almost pleading now. Please. Just come back. We can make it work. We'll fix everything. I shook my head. Marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. Even though he couldn't see it, I had been through this before. This wasn't a request for help. This was an admission of failure. It's marble under the setting sun. They needed me because they couldn't do it without me, and I wasn't sure if I should feel vindicated or guilty. I can't help you, I said firmly. It's marble under the setting sun, letting the words sink in. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. Setting, sun. There was another long silence before Daniel spoke again, his voice heavy with something I couldn't place. Is it really over then? He asked. It's mleambled under the setting sun, the question hanging between us. I took a deep breath, my thoughts drifting back to the years I had spent at Holtware, to the countless hours I had given. It's margaming under the setting sun. I had put everything into that company, and in return, they had only ever seen me as someone who could be replaced. And now that I was gone, the truth was clear. Midra's setting's over, I said, the finality in my voice unmistakable. And I'm not coming back. I didn't wait for him to respond. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun fun. I ended the call before he did say anything else. The moment I hit the button to disconnect, I felt something shift inside me. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. It was as if I had finally closed the door on that chapter of my life, and I wasn't looking back. I sat there for a moment, the room quiet around me. The speed enter ascend. The city outside continued its slow march forward, the cars moving, people walking by, marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. All of them unaware of the chaos that was unfolding in a company they would never think about. It was over. And for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. I leaned back to the setting sun, closing my eyes. Didn't know what the future sun. I didn't know what'd solved. I didn't know where I would go from here, or what my next steps would be. But for the first time in a long time, it's chemable under the setting sun. I felt like I was in control. I wasn't the one holding everything together anymore. And it felt good. It felt right. Colansing under the setting sun, but there was one thing I knew for sure. I wasn't going to let them drag me back into their mess. Not anymore. The phone was quiet now. It's marble under the setting sun, and I let the silence wash over me. Whatever happened next, it was out of my hands. The next morning, everything felt different. The air was still, the sunlight filtering through the blinds in soft, golden slivers. It was quiet, almost too quiet. Like how Packard had been written. If I'm saying was I had been waiting for something, some sign that I was supposed to feel relief, triumph, or maybe guilt. But instead, there was just peace. It's marbling under the setting sun, a deep, unshakable peace that settled over me like a blanket, pulling me into a sense of calm I hadn't known in years. I was no longer part of that world. It preeming under the setting sun, hold to the setting sun. Holtware's problems weren't mine to solve anymore. I had walked away, and now it was their turn to face the mess they had created. It's marble under the setting sun. As I sat in the quiet of my apartment, I couldn't help but replay the events of the last few days. The fire, the collapse, the desperation, gleaming under the setting sun. It all played out in my mind like a slow-motion replay of something I had long been waiting for. I had given them everything. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. I had made sure they understood how fragile everything was. But they never listened. They had assumed I was just another employee, someone who could be replaced. But now, as I sat here, I knew that I was more than that. The presence gleaming under the setting sun. I had been the backbone, the one who kept the company from falling apart when it should have. They had taken me for granted, and now, without me, gleaming under the setting sun, they were paying the price. The phone remained silent for hours, but I knew it wouldn't last. The calls, the messages, they'd be coming. Under the setting sun, there would always be another crisis, another failure, and with every message that came through, I felt something deep inside me solidify. I wasn't going back. Under the setting sun, not for anyone. By noon, my phone buzzed again, another message from Jessica. It's marble gang for the setting sun. I stared at it for a long time, wondering if I should reply. Part of me still cared for her, for everything we had shared. I created time under the settings time, but I knew that answering this time would only drag me back into the mess, and I wasn't ready for that. I put the phone face down on the table. its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. The sound of the city outside filtered through the window. People were moving about their day, oblivious to everything that had just happened. Its marble entrance gleaming, everything that had changed, and I felt a strange sense of freedom. For the first time, I wasn't holding everything together. Its marble gleaming under the setting sun. The weight that had been with me for so long, the pressure to be the one who always fixed things was gone, and I wasn't sure what to do with that. But it felt good. It felt right. The phone buzzed again, but I didn't reach for it. I couldn't keep running back to it. Not now. Gleaming under the setting sun, not. When I had already made my choice, I was done. Holtware had been my life for too long, but I had left that world behind. Hunt's marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. Now it was up to them to figure out how to keep everything from falling apart. They would have to face the consequences of their own ignorance. Its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun, the systems I had built, the ones I had nurtured, were now out of my hands. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid, I wasn't angry, I wasn't worried. Gleam into the setting sun. I was just free. The sun had shifted, casting a soft glow across the room as the day wore on. My phone remained silent. And on, son. And for the first time, I didn't care. This was it, the end of one chapter and the beginning of something else. I didn't need to know what came next. Because, for once, I wasn't afraid to let go. Gleaming under the setting sun, I smiled to myself as I stood up, stretching my arms overhead, the tension in my shoulders finally loosening. The world was wide open now, and I was ready to face it. Gleam into the sun, so the door was open, and I was walking through. I didn't look back.